Männer! Es war ein langer Krieg. Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft. Seid eine besondere Truppe, die ineinander...
Hey everyone, Adrian here, and this is The Spider King by IDW Comics. So, this didn't come out last Wednesday. I'm just doing a late review. You guys, if you watched Dark Philly, you probably saw her review on this. Her review is probably going to be a lot better than this one, because she puts a lot more time and effort into her stuff. But, this is by Vann, Darmini, Bloch, and Shaw. When I first opened it up, I was like, wow, this art is absolute rubbish. This guy can't draw a fucking nose to save his life. But good writing, and the art actually really matches the story, and by the time I was done with it, I was actually quite a big fan. How much was it? It's only $3.99, pretty standard. Really thick feeling cover, which is kind of cool. Quality pages. And it's basically a Viking story that had a pretty big twist at the end I wasn't expecting. I say I wasn't expecting it because I didn't watch all of Philly's review, because I wanted to read it. So, again, written by Josh Vann, illustrated by Simone Darmini. It might be Simon. They sound foreign, but I'm going to call it Simone. Colored by Adrian Bloch, lettered by Nick J. Shaw. What? Check it out, the letter it got on the cover. That's cool. You don't see that very often. I mean, probably because your career can be replaced by Microsoft Word, but... So the story starts off in Halvard. Well, that doesn't start off in Halvard. It starts off in this town where we find out this guy named Halvard is dead. Halvard is the essentially a Viking king. And we find out that some traitors, fellow Vikings, turned on him. They killed Halvard, and now it is up to his son to become the new ruler. This little scene's pretty cool because it really touches on responsibility, family, tradition, all the things that have been getting destroyed in recent times. And it paints him in a positive light while showing that doing what's right is hard. It's never easy, and you just have to do it because that's the right thing to do. And that's a lesson that we don't really learn a lot today. Nowadays, when they try and teach you that lesson, it's about nonsense communist bullshit. Anyway, this is our son, Hrolf. He's going to be our new leader. After seeing the other guys basically tell him that he's the new leader, this little wise woman back here. Look at these noses, man. The art was really distracting at first. I'm not going to lie. Like, I mean, it's gritty and dirty, and it kind of fits that old school Viking feel. But my God, the people are so ugly. It's consistent though, and consistency is big. I'm not a consistent drawer. Anyway, the wise woman takes Hrolf outside, explains to him that she made a prophecy about these two stars and how it meant greatness was coming. But she was wrong because the king died. So what those stars actually are is they're foretelling the prophecy of Hrolf, who is going to lead the world into prosperous times. We jump forward many years later when we see Hrolf as an adult. He's still leading his Viking crew, and he is about to attack this traitor that killed his father. As the scene lays out, Hrolf is depicted like he's going to be a major badass, right? He fucking, look at him, standing guard. He's not going to take Arik's shit. He's about to throw down. We get some very impressive back and forth between the two. Arik basically, or Arik tells him that he's going to finish wiping them off the face of the planet, and Hrolf initiates the first attack. And we see these two logs get released as they come flying down with these just immensely ugly Vikings riding them. And we think they're probably going to smash Arik, right? Wrong! We smash into each other. The two Vikings take a header, blow apart. gory death. We see Hrolf looks like, what? And Arik just starts laughing at him, mocks him, and they start killing everybody. We jump forward to a different part of the Viking realm, where we see some other Viking kings talking about Arik and how he's basically stormtrooping their entire nation, and they need to put a stop to him. We get this princess, and she wants to send somebody out to assassinate Arik, rather than fight him head on, because she doesn't think their armies can take him. All the other men are like, that's not how men fight. That's a coward's way to fight. That's not what we're gonna do. And she accuses them of valiantly marching off to suicide, which is ignorant, and expecting the villagers to look the other soldiers in the eye as they're killed, murdered, and have their food stolen. As she's lecturing the Vikings, some of the other men basically call out to her father and are like, yo, get this mouthy princess the fuck out of here. And he jerks her by the head, takes her out of the room, and sends her off to basically work with the women in the kitchen. His reaction was pretty accurate. I don't think a guy like that would have such a feminist daughter. But, you know, you gotta touch your minority quota, your PC quota, politically correct quota. It doesn't matter. We jump back to the fight where we see Hrolf's team just getting annihilated by Arik's army, and Hrolf is basically just mocking, or Arik is mocking the shit out of our main boy Hrolf, and how he took the strongest army in existence and turned it into a few talentless farmers who are now getting pulverized and defeated. Hrolf's trying to stay strong, stay in command, and that's when something happens. We get this big green light. This is where the story really starts to take a turn. We also see that the princess has escaped. She killed her guards, and we see her running through the forest, and then we get more of this green light. What could this be? Back at the battle scene, that green light turns out to be some sort of like meteors or something showering down on the men. It kills quite a few people and lights their ass on fire. So Arik and Hrolf basically they call a quick truce. So the next time they meet is the time that one of them isn't leaving alive, and they get the hell out of Dodge. So as the battle is dying down, we get some travelers who go passing through. I don't think they're with the army. I think they're just travelers. But basically they find Hrolf and... Oh, that's right. We find Hrolf and the remaining guys. Some of the only survivors are these two dudes who apparently didn't hear the call to arms. They get mocked and teased for being cowards and hiding. Then we got this old man who is Hrolf's uncle, and this rich boy looking guy. Hrolf is pretty much ready to give up. He's as far as he's concerned, it's pointless. They just need to give up, go away. Arik's won. He's destroyed his legacy. His uncle just starts reaming his ass, and that's when Hrolf notices his uncle had his arm cut in half. It's like, uncle! So they wrestle the uncle down, and Hrolf runs off to try and get some moss to patch up the wound. And that's when he finds this big wrecked spaceship with like what looks to be the remains of a robot. A robot. We don't really find out what happens with said robot, though. We actually go back and join Arik as he's meeting up with his troops, and we find out that very similar thing happened. We got green fire around, we got strange creatures appeared, and they all left except for this one, which went into Arik's tent. And they also got this big metal ship. Arik doesn't believe in monsters or ghosts or anything like that, so he's just assuming that it's just going to be some dude. He walks into this tent, and we see this xenomorph mushroom thing that's just like wheezing and sputtering. And Arik starts being an asshole to him, which is hilarious. Calls him a half-digested meal. And then proceeds to get brutally slaughtered by this monster. And that's when we find out what the story is really about. Or, well, I guess that's when we can infer what the story is really about. Is these aliens are planning on taking over the world for its minerals, and the only thing that's going to stop them are these Viking hordes. So, oh, I didn't even read this. Okay, well, I'll read that later. So, personally, I enjoyed this book. I thought it was good. I'm gay for Vikings. I thought the art was kind of lame, but after reading it, it grew on me. The only thing I really have a complaint about now is the god-awful fucking potato noses they put on here. And here's a little message from Simone. I really didn't want Hrolf to look like a classic hero. At the end of the day, Hrolf isn't particularly heroic. He's not a very good king. He's never wanted to be. He's a reluctant monarch, a failure as a leader, and a disappointment to his clan. So I decided that his appearance should reflect that. He fits the classic mold in that he's strong and muscular, but he's not particularly a regal character. That's why his face looks kind of goofy. With crooked teeth, big chin, broken nose, he's definitely not a stereotypical perfect Prince Charming. The biggest inspiration for Rolf's body language, expressions, and attitude was my dog, Robin. Both are not too smart and very reckless, but deep down, they're nice, good-hearted, brave, and strong. That's fucking hilarious, Simone. Alright. So I recommend Spider King. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's pretty good. I think IDW is a shit company, to be completely honest, but they do have some decent creators, and I would say these guys are pretty good. Worth checking out. I'm going to call it a recommend. Hell Hydra, baby.